To take the front wheel off of your Liberty Trike, you'll want a 5mm hex wrench and a 13/16 inch open end wrench or a 21mm open end wrench. And when you're putting it back together, you want to make sure that you get the axle nuts to about 30 foot-pounds, and you'll want to get the torque arm here to about 9 Newton meters, and make sure that that stuff is all set. The first thing is make sure that the parking lock is not on your brakes, and grab the plug here and undo the motor plug. When you're putting it back on, make sure the arrows are lined up and plug it in all the way until the female end lines up with the witness line there. Once you've got it unplugged, you can grab your wrench and remember righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and you can start to loosen the axle nuts here. So you get the one axle nut loose, you can come to the other side. Loosen the other axle nut. Okay, once you have the axle nuts pretty loose, you can unscrew the M6 screw here using your 5mm wrench. And when you get that unscrewed, you'll want to note that there are going to be spacer washers under the head of the screw here. There they go. 2 washers, you want to hang on to those and to the screw. If you're going to have the wheel out for a long time, you can put the screw back in here with the washers, and that'll keep them from going anywhere. You can do that, with the wheel off. And then loosen those axle nuts up just a little bit more. And you should be able to pull the rubber wire protector up the wire a little bit, very carefully. Get the axle nut all the way off. Take off your wire guard there. And now the last bit is these C washers here. They need to come out, away from the face of the dropouts on each side. So you loosen the axle nut all the way, and you pull the washers out away from the bike. And then the wheel pops right out. And if you want to keep from losing stuff, make sure that the axle nuts are still on so the C washers can't come out. And you can put the 2 spacer washers for the torque arm back in place on the bike where it can't come out. Now, when we're putting it back on, it's just the same thing in reverse. Take the wheel, drop the wheel in, and we make sure that we have a washer on the inside, on both sides. Move the torque arm here all the way down the axle, make sure the C washer lands in the indents in the axle. Take our 2 spacer washers. This is probably the tricky part. And you get these 2 washers on the inside here and get the screw through them. Wee bit tricky. And now 9 Newton meters for this, but we're not going to torque it all the way until we're done, because we need to make sure that the torque arm is sitting flat. So we'll just get it kind of finger tight. Then we get the axle nuts finger tight, and that pulls this into line. Everything's got to be flat. That finger tight, and we'll get the spring. You make sure that you haven't pulled the spring up the axle. That's got to protect the wire. Put that in place, and the wire guard kind of fits through there. Tighten that up. Slip the rubber piece down. Okay, now that we've got everything finger tight and we're making sure that the wheel is in straight, so now remember, you're tightening these axle nuts to about 30 foot-pounds. Let's say you're using like a 10-inch wrench. That might be like a normal to hard pull with a 10-inch wrench. Don't go crazy, but it does need to be tight enough. So if you have a torque wrench, It's really the right way to do it. So we tighten that one a little bit, and then we tighten the other side a little bit. Maybe. Now that they're starting to come up tight, we can tighten the torque arm to our 9 Newton meters here. There, it's clicked off. And again, if you're doing 9 Newton meters and you've just got like an L wrench here, that'd be just sort of like a normal amount of force here. I'm just pushing this fairly hard. If you have a wrench that's this long and you go as hard as you can, you're going to strip it right out. So it's got to be tight, but don't go crazy. And so tighten the other side up now. So now I'm going to tighten it up until it clicks off. And then I'm going to finish up on this side. And then find the 2 arrows, line them up, plug it in all the way. Then check your brakes, make sure your brakes are working fine, the motor's working fine, and then take a nice safe short test ride. Thanks.